Hi, this is Brian Fogarty, and this is a video for Chapter 5 of the book Quantitative Social Science Data with R, second edition. So in this video, what we're going to do is look at renaming variables. So this kind of starts our adventure into recoding and manipulating variables, wrangling variables, whatever. There's tons and tons and tons of different things we can do with variables. It all just depends on what we need to do for whatever our analysis or whatever our goals are. So the first thing is renaming. So especially when we use secondary data, right, that we have gotten from, some other source, government source or something like that, the variables are named in certain ways, or the categories, it's just not what we want. So a lot of times we want to rename them. So let's just take a quick look at how to do this. We're going to use the 2020 Scottish Index of Multiple Deprivation Data, which we call SIMD. So I'm going to read it in and save it as the object SIMD. So SIMD, and then it's a CSV file. So read underscore CSV, and then quote. The name of it, again, is SIMD 2020.csv. We have to specify the missing data. All right. So one of the options we actually have with some of the tidyverse read functions is we can actually fix the names before, or sorry, when we read it in. So sometimes this is helpful, and we'll do some of this. But let's just look at let's just read it in, and then I'll okay, all right. Let's do this. All right. So if there's tons of problems with a variable, the variable's names, we can add this option called name repair. All right, and we're going to, so it's dot name underscore repair equals universal. And so universal is just, what it does is that it automatically changes the variable names with respect to different symbols or things like that, so that they will definitely work with all tidyverse functions. It doesn't fix them to where we necessarily want them to be, but it can get us some of the way. And unused argument. Okay, now what is the problem? The problem is that there is no dot here. There's no period. I feel like that's a change. I might be misremembering. Anyway, I should have known when I started typing it and it didn't come up. All right, so get rid of that. Again, when we're actually working in R, or I mean really any software, and we're doing this coding, we always mess up. All right, no one's perfect. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, so let's just take a look. I don't think there's any real problems with this that the universal would fix. It mostly, it'll fix if the variables have spaces, like they're not connected, but these have these underscores. So it doesn't need to fix those. All right, so let's get back to the test. So we want to rename some of them. So let's just do a real simple example. Let's say we want to rename this one here to, instead of uppercase, we could do lowercase, and we can actually do it all at once, which we'll look at later on. But to rename variables, it's super easy. The function is just rename. That's it. So I'm actually not going to save it, but let's look at how to do it. We're going to do SIMD, and then piping, and then again the function is just rename, and then we put in what we want for the new variable. So I'm just going to call this data zone, so just the lowercase version, equals, and then what the old variable is. So it's data zone, where it's uppercase, or capitalized on the first letters. Let's highlight that and run that. Okay, so this is just giving us a little snippet here. we see that instead of it being uppercase, it is now this. Okay, so what this does, though, one thing to realize is that this replaces the existing variable name. We'll talk about mutate in a little bit, but if we just want to make like a copy, we would use mutate instead. All right. You can do multiple of these. Another version, as I said, is we can do this all at once. So let's look at this. Let's try to do this on the fly as an example. So we're going to do SIMD and then piping, and then, sorry, when I say all at once, what we can do is if it's something that we want to apply just like across all of the variables, there's sort of shortcuts to that. So one thing is usually we like variables with names that are lowercase. It's just easier to keep track of. Because if we look here, right, like intermediate zone, there's capital I, capital Z, but then council area, there's a capital C, but then lowercase a. So sometimes when you're going through this, you don't want to have to worry about, is this capitalized or not. All right, so what we could do is we can use the option rename with, sorry, not the option, a function, rename underscore with, and then do to lower. There's actually a version as well that's to upper. But every time I look at to upper, I think it says to pay. I don't know why. All right, let's highlight that, run that, and let's take a look now. So you see all of these are now lowercase. Okay. All right. So again, this is just real quick, simple. Rename. To rename variable, we use rename function, but it does replace the existing one. So if that's a concern, you might want to use mutate, or you might want to save this. You know, another option is we could save this as a new data object, right? So let's say SIMD1, so that you don't lose the original SIMD. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.